Hi guys, I'm Doritos, and today I'm going to be showing you guys my full updated custom tactic setup that I go into games with, and that includes a brand new custom tactic with a whole new approach that's absolutely awesome, so be sure to stick to the end for that one. Before we get into the custom tactics, this is the team that I'm using. I use this first 11 for all of the tactics. For the fullback formations, it's Maldini who I move into the right back position and Davies who I move into the left back position. Maldini is definitely not a traditional right back, however, he just has a certain speed about him on this game that really sort of handles those fast wingers really well, which is why I like playing him there. Plus, with a 4-back, I never tend to commit my right back, so having a centre back there isn't a big problem, and also then it transitions into a 3 or 5 back really easily. Going through these custom tactics today, there won't be any gameplay or anything. This is just kind of a quick fire run through of everything that I use and why I use it. Some of these formations I have actually got full breakdowns of on the channel, and the new formation I'm showing you today will be on the channel shortly with a much more in-depth breakdown with the gameplay and such as well. But getting into the tactics, starting with the 3-4-2-1. So this is the formation that I start games with, use majority of the time unless I do feel the need to adjust. The defensive style is balanced, defensive width is 30 to keep that 5-back nice and compact. The defensive depth is 55. So because you've naturally got a lot of numbers forward in this one, I don't feel the need to put the depth too high to do a good manual press. So 55 is a good sweet spot for this. Don't go any lower though, because you naturally kind of then get pinned back, which then works against you. Build up play balanced, chance creation, direct passing. Offensive width is straight down the middle. You've got a lot of players in all areas of the pitch here, so you don't really need to cater it one way or the other. Players in the box is on 6. This just helps the centre mids get involved in the interplay just that little bit more. Then corners and free kicks is just on 1. Quickly running through the player instructions, your front 3 are all on stay central. Your left mid and right mid are both on comeback on defence and getting behind. I found getting behind very important. They don't really commit early enough if you don't have getting behind on. And then if they're not committing early enough, by the time you've got them up the pitch, the opponent's completely set up in the defence. So that's no good. So getting behind is really important for this one. Your 2 centre mids are on stay back and cover centre. However, they do get involved in the attack because of where we put that players in the box. And then the rest of the team is just on their default instructions. The main purpose of this formation is to overload the opponent. These 2 players here and these 2 players here essentially create 2-on-1 scenarios with your opponent's wing back, which enables you to get in behind and then work the ball into the box. This formation is really good because it obviously operates as a 5-back with your left mid and right mid dropping into those wing-back positions on the defence, but then you've still got like at least 5 attackers on the way forward, and you can isolate the opponent's wing-backs as well. So it's really good for getting numbers forward, really good for getting numbers back, and that's why this is so effective, and why the 5-back is just such a strong meta this year. Next, I'll show you probably the scrubbiest formation of the lot, and that is the 5-4-1. The idea of this formation is basically just to see a game out when there's like 5 minutes left. Say you're like 2-1 up, the guy's really good, and you just want to see the game out. Now, often, if I'm honest, I don't even switch this in those scenarios. I tend to just go with what I always get in this mindset of, if I'm 2-1 up with what I'm using, why change it? Like, I'm edging him with what I'm using. So I often just stick with what I'm using if I am winning. But if for whatever reason I really feel the need to go defensive, this is what I run with. So defensive style is balanced, defensive width is 25, so extremely compact. We're almost giving them the wings and just not letting them through the middle. Defensive depth, once again, is 55. It's just a nice sweet spot to not get pinned in, but not really press too high. Build-up play and chance creation, both on balance and direct passing. Offensive width is 45, a little bit narrower. This formation is naturally very wide, so just bringing everyone in that little bit just makes the passing a little bit easier. Players in the box, this is just on 4. We don't need to get too many numbers forward in this one. Corners and free kicks are both on 1. Player instructions, so your main striker and only striker is stay central, getting behind. Your left mid and right mid are come back on defence and cut inside. This is because we want them to tuck in with the strikers and kind of operate more as middlemen. Your 2 centre mids are just on balance to cover centre. I don't have these on stay back as well, even though it's a defensive tactic, because I find if I have too many people on stay back, come back, you almost do what the depth does when it's too low. You just get pinned in. Your wing backs are on balanced overlap. Now, I know there's not a lot of stay back instructions here, but with the kind of modest depth, the narrow defensive width, not many players in the box forward, your wide mids on the comeback instruction, your wing backs naturally will drop back on balanced anyway. You've got 3 centre backs, you've got 2 defensively capable centre mids. It's extremely defensively robust, and honestly, this formation is obscenely difficult for the opponent to break down, especially if there's only a few minutes left. I urge you not to get too keen with this one. The 5-for-1 is very scrubby and it makes games kind of a stalemate regardless of who you're playing. But it's effective for what it is, so I would recommend only really using this if you're just trying to sit a game out. Next is my constant press tactic. This was in the previous video that I did when I did a full custom tactics breakdown, so I'll only quickly touch on this one. Constant press, defensive width 35, depth 72 for the automatic offside traps, build up play balance, chance creation, direct passing, width 45, again just to make the passing that little bit easier, players in the box 7, corners and free kicks 1. So the instructions, this is very minimalistic here. The whole front 3 is unbalanced. The whole mid 3 is unbalanced, apart from the middle centre mid who's on cover centre. And then the rest of the team is also just on the default instructions. When I'm trying to get back in a game, instructions kind of just go out the window, to be honest. It's all about just getting numbers forward, doing a really high press, and just trying to overload the opponent as much as possible to get back in a game. So instructions aren't really going to help you with a constant press tactic if you are doing it properly. So this is the one I run with. I've literally had this since the start of the game and never changed it. If I ever do any more of these kind of full tactics rundowns, this one's always going to be in there. It served me as my constant press tactic all year, and it's got me back into loads of games. Now it is time for the secret overpowered formation. Such an unlikely suspect, but such a pleasant surprise using this, and that is going to be the 4-1-4-1. I will do a full video breaking this down in a lot more depth soon, and I'll include the gameplay and such as well, so you get a proper insight as to how this plays without trying it for yourself. I had a comment the other day of a guy who mentioned he plays the 4-1-4-1 in career mode, and he's transitioned to Ultimate Team, and it just got me thinking, like, no one uses the 4-1-4-1 online. Can we make this work? Can we make this a secret hidden gem, something that's actually a really good ace in your back pocket that you can switch to? And I was playing around with it, and I think the reason the 4-1-4-1 off the bat doesn't really work is the kind of blueprint we follow for what is meta in this game is like direct passing, decent sort of press, generally a balanced width, sometimes narrower to get the passing going. And yes, it doesn't work very well when you set it up like that, but maybe the formations that are meta are only meta because we always pair them with the same sort of tactics and instructions. Maybe these other formations that we don't use are meta if you format them differently. And that is definitely what I found with this one. This is not conforming to what we think of as the go-to meta instructions and tactics, but this formatted like this is absolutely fantastic. It feels different, but it works really, really well. So let's get into this for you. So defensive style is balanced. Width on the defense is still 30. Compact is still king on this game. Defensive depth is 60. Really nice number to manually press in this game. Build up play and chance creation is going to be balanced. And possession. Now, possession is definitely the kind of anomaly here. So direct passing is your go-to, and this naturally pins the opponent back, and then you're able to create space on the edge of the box. This formation doesn't really serve well when you play it like that. Forward runs I don't like, it just feels like a weak direct passing. And then you've got balanced, which doesn't really have much about it. But possession. It's really easy to get passing going with this possession tactic on because generally your players will always come short. So, for example, if you're on the wing with a player, your wing back will actually naturally push up even on a stay back instruction as a passing option. So you can get your wing backs involved with this on, which is interesting. Even if they're on stay back, you're able to get them involved manually quite easily. Also, because you've always got those short passing options and you've kind of naturally got this triangle in the midfield with your DM and 2 centre mids, so you're really able to keep the ball in the middle of that park. And what it does is your wingers just tend to get isolated out wide and not picked up. So what you can do, you can lull your opponent into this false sense of security with this formation, send the winger on a run, and you can just absolutely send them. It's weird. You're like playing slow, and you can just send it. It's bizarre, but it works so, so well. And that is also why the width is so high. It's to get those wingers really, really tight to the byline, isolated from the opponent's defence, and then once you have sent them through, you've then stretched the opponent's defence enough to be able to have space in the middle to work the ball in. Players in the box is on 6. I just really like this for fullbacks. It works really well. Corners and free kicks, once again, just on one so we don't get cheesed on the counter-attack. Player instructions, I'll quickly bomb through these. Stay central on the striker. Come back on both the left mid and the right mid. Balanced with cover centre instructions on the 2 centre mids. And then stay back, cover centre on your CDM. and then your left back and right back are just on stay back. Stay back is a little bit deceiving on the wing backs because, like I mentioned, with the possession tactic, they can naturally tuck up to the wingers, so you actually are able to kind of do L1 passes and link them in. This triangle that you've got here, it makes it so easy to keep the ball because you've always got that safe passing option back. But then you can really send these guys who get so isolated on the wings. It's superb. It's absolutely fantastic. By all means, give this a go now, but I will do a fuller breakdown on this one so you can really kind of see how I'm using it to get a better insight. But this is something I'm switching to if the 3-4-2-1 isn't working. Say if the guy's just sort of neutralising what I'm doing and I'm just struggling to get going. I wouldn't necessarily switch to it if I'm 2 or 3 goals down. I'd probably go for something with like the constant press tactic, but if I'm just in a bit of a stalemate, I can't get going, I'll switch to this. And just the way you can send these wingers through is awesome, and it's a really, really nice change of dynamic from the 3-4-2-1. And that is my fourth and final tactic. That is what I'm running with at the moment. If you've got any questions on any of these 4 formations, let me know, guys. The 3-4-2-1 is definitely the go-to at the minute. The 4-1-4-1 is the ace in my back pocket. The 5-4-1 is the sweatbands are on and I've got 5 minutes left and I need the win. And then the 4-3-2-1 is I'm being battered and I need to get back into the game. They're the current tactics. Probably the most dynamic tactics I've had all year, especially with these two. The 4-1-4-1 and the 3-4-2-1 are so different with how they're formatted in game. It's a really, really nice change. Let me know what your guys' go-to formation is at the moment. Let me know what formations you want to see in the future as well. Of course, I will link my custom tactics playlist in the description below for you guys to check out if there's any others that you do want to see in more depth. If you did make it this far in the video, guys, as always, I really appreciate your time. If you did enjoy it, please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already and turn your bell on. Take care, guys.